Every naira counts, and so does every conversation we have on this show. Welcome to Counting the Numbers on Signature TV, your weekly dive into the stories, people, and trends in the Nigerian economy. I'm Tomsinime Natus. Across Nigeria, inflation has been changing the way we live, from how much we can buy to the quality of goods we can afford. Prices keep climbing, but salaries haven't been so different, leaving many households to make tough choices. Today we ask, is buying food in bulk still a smart move, or has inflation changed the game? Joining us shortly is an economic analyst, the chief economist of SP&M Professionals, Paul Alaje, who will help us understand how rising prices are affecting consumption patterns and household budgets. But first, let's head to the streets to hear what everyday Nigerians are saying about buying in bulk in these economic times.
It's good buying it in bulk, but there's some people who has the money. You know, when you don't have the money, you have to buy it half because you don't have the option. That's it. When you get it, you buy. You get it, you buy.
In bulk is okay now, but in a little portion, you can consume it. That the money you still spend is better use it and buy it in a big quantity, and then to buy it in a smaller form. So I think buying it in bulk is more okay than smaller.
I buy it in bulk so that it can last for me.
The voices of the people have spoken. Some Nigerians believe bulk buying still saves them money and trips to the market, while others say it's too much for them. Clearly, the answers are as varied as the budget. So let's take the conversation deeper into the numbers with our guest.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking. Events occur and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
Joining us now is Paul Alaje, a respected economic analyst, chief economist, SP&M Professionals, who will be telling us more about inflation trends and consumer behavior. He's here to discuss the effect of inflation and if people are still buying in bulk, if it still makes sense in 2025. Welcome to the program, Paul. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so very much for having me. A beautiful morning to you.
Okay, so my first question, inflation has been in the headlines for months. How is it affecting the way Nigerians spend and shop currently?
Well, inflation itself is important Nigerians understand what it means. When we say that you are faced with inflationary pressure, or there is an inflation in your economy, or your economy is a major inflator. All economy desire very low inflation. It even shows that the economic activity. But when inflation rate in your nation is going beyond 3%, then you have everything to worry about. In fact, for Nigeria, the central bank projection for inflation over the years has been between 6 to 9%. For short, or summarily, single-digit inflation. But what we have seen, say in the last 10 years, inflation has maintained double digits. We got a point where inflation is over 30%. What that means effectively is that in 30 months, prices will double. So if that is what you refer to, and you want me to respond to that, if people buy in bulk, then it may save them for some income. Well, the question is, what is the purchasing power of the people that want to buy in bulk? Because you need to have the money today. Oxfam report says 90%, not 10%. 90% of Nigeria are living below poverty line. They are poor. In fact, World Bank report last year revealed that 70% of Nigeria, and when I say 70, I was charitable, it's actually 75% of Nigeria. What that means is if you put 4 Nigerians together, more than 3 of them, not up to 4, but more than 3 of them, not my figure according to the World Bank, are living below poverty line. That's in rural area, in urban center. The same report says, give me 5 Nigerians, and I will show you that 2 of them are urban poor. Why? Because they live below $2.15 a day. Now, why are they living below this? One, because their purchasing power have lacked the energy to help them purchase what is required. So the question is, having said all of this, how is inflation affecting them? Prices is no longer the same. The current report of food inflation is 22.1. What is it called now? 21 plus 0.8. Then headline inflation is 22.22. It reduced slightly. But mark you, in one person I said, but inflation used to be 34% and it reduced. The answer is not correct. Inflation did not reduce in the real sense. What we did was we adjusted the methodology. So when we adjusted the methodology, it's the same thing we did for unemployment. Unemployment was at 3.3%. We adjusted the methodology. We changed, before we were measuring unemployment for 20 hours a week. So if you are engaged for 20 hours a week, we say you're employed. But when we change the methodology, we feel that if you're engaged for 1 hour a week, you're employed. So the number dropped without creating the jobs. Same with inflation. We adjusted the parameter, we adjusted the base year to a new base year. What happens? The number dropped. But does it mean that prices dropped? Does it mean that quality of life improved? So inflation is targeting something. It's always after your pocket. It's an invisible force that you cannot do anything about, but it's stealing from you broad daylight. There's no police that can arrest it. It's a function of policy. So what are the things that makes inflation even to be more there in Nigeria? Flotation of currency. When we floated currency, it makes inflation high. Monetary Authority responded to that by tightening MPR, that is raising MPR from what it was at 14% to what we have seen in the recent history of Nigeria at over 20%. That said, you also have that government at the same time remove subsidy as part of the as part of the policy. What happened for average Nigerian, the real poor people? Prices of moving from one point in, if you like, what we call along in Abuja, and in Lagos they call it Molue. In some places they call it Keke Napep. Some places still use Okada, that's public either tricycle or motorcycle, from one point to the other. The price has since tripled. So their purchasing power has emaciated, purchasing power has significantly reduced. The question is, can they afford it? With buying in bulk, recall that government actually responded by increasing minimum wage to 70,000.
Yes, sir.
Now here is the point. It used to be 30,000 when exchange rate was 420. Now exchange rate is 1,500. When you do the when you put it in proportion, 400, if you're earning 30,000 when the exchange rate was 420 and you're earning 70,000 when the exchange rate is 1,500, you are actually losing. Now, is it the intent of government? Government wants to punish the people? Because I've seen a lot of reviews for some of my analysis and people say, oh, this government wants to punish us. Government is also fighting for its soul by saying, hey, we don't have FX. People don't want to trade with Nigeria. We're not attracting enough investments and economy. We're not able to pay our subnationals. We're matching debt. One of the things we need to do is to stop the support in terms of subsidy. Government pull that down, and we feel that Naira is overvalued. We also need to float the currency. Now, government is looking at boosting revenue by coming up with tax reform. All of this together, mark you on one hand, we also have Monetary Authority responding by hiking interest rates, even though that has now been pegged for, I think, 2 consecutive meetings. And I hope that even in the coming period, Monetary Policy Authority may still have to sit on the fence, see what we see happens next year. Why? Because I told you, inflation did not really reduce. What we did was to adjust the parameter, to adjust the methodology, so that inflation improve in number terms, not reduce.
So that means the effect of inflation on people still remains the same. It
remains the same, and I'm afraid maybe worse.
Okay, so you've already answered my next question about bulk buying. If it is still a financially smart move in this economy, what do you really think? Or has it lost its edge? It
depends. Yeah, it might be for who earns income. I read a report recently, I can't remember for which organization. It reveals that more than about 85% of Nigeria are earning less than 250K a month. So you have 15 or 16% of Nigeria who are earning about 15,000 naira a month of working population. Mark you, not all Nigerians are working population. You have less than 40% of your population as working population. What does that mean? Of your 40%, you have 60% who are either too young to work, too old to work, or do not have earning capacity. Then you have 40% of this population. Out of this 40% of this population, you have, for those that are working, mark you, not everybody is working, but for those that are working, 85% of them are earning less than 250,000 naira. Let's convert that to what they can buy. So for the people who can afford it, it will be a smart move to have because of volatility.
Yes.
However, we have seen relative stability, and I say relative stability with all consciousness because one, we have seen that exchange rate seems to have settled around 1,005, 1,006. Inflation moderated, even though it did not reduce based on what happened. We have also seen exchange rates. We have also seen trade. Nigeria seems to now have increased trade volume in naira terms, not in dollar terms, in naira terms, because you cannot really talk of dollar terms. When you convert that to the dollar at much worse of exchange rates, then you might want to bite your finger. The same with budget. Nigeria has passed the largest budget in recent history. Convert to the dollar is not different from what we did in 2022, 2023. Why? Because in dollar terms, that is what we are doing right now. So the policy, you have to wait on all sides so that you're balanced and you present a better view. So if you have the money, you are looking at bulk purchase, that may be good. But when everybody wants to buy bulk, going to the market demanding for things at the same time, what will that lead to? High inflation. Why are you buying bulk purchase? You're buying bulk purchase because you're expecting that price may go up. So if everybody go to the market to buy at the same time, everybody's expecting price to go up. Guess what? Economics is a sure profit. Price will go up because we are making demand. So we have what we call demand pull inflation.
Oh, okay. I had not really looked at it that way. Okay. So are we seeing more people, because of this now, switching to cheaper brands or local products?
Yeah, cheaper brands, certainly. More people have switched to cheaper brand. In fact, people are looking for the cheapest brand because at the end of the day, we have to survive. In an economy, we are faced with interesting economic times, and we are not the only one. Interestingly, is the rest of Africa. I was in an interview earlier today with some Southern African media houses, and we're looking at the landscape of Africa and the economy. And I am of the opinion that compounding of foods shall be destroyed until Africa comes together to realize that if our exchange rate is not strong enough by coming with a single currency, just like what has happened in the Eurozone, we are just joking because we want to fight the battle individually, and I'm afraid we might not be able to win individually.
So you agree with joining the BRICS?
It might not be the BRICS. I'm saying Africa's single currency.
Africans alone.
Yes. And I'm proposing if the currency is either Afro or Naira, because Nigeria has the largest population in Africa. Up until recently, we used to be the largest economy. Now we are number 4 economy. When I said Nigeria is the 4th or 5th economy, a lot of people said, no, it's not true. I saw the number before time. We did the econometrics before time. Today, it was reported, even after rebasing our economy, we still did not survive the 4th position. We used to be 1st position. Now, can we improve from all of this? The answer is yes. But you know, when the students are ready, the teacher will show up.
Okay. But you mentioned something about demand push. So do you mean that buying in bulk has a positive and negative end to it?
Yes, if everybody goes to buy in bulk. Watch this. If you hear there will be fuel scarcity, everybody take their vehicle to the filling station at the same time. We want to buy. We are sending signal to the market that demand now outweighs supply. Now the person selling is also afraid. I'm not sure if I will find. So ask the price. Then you see people selling in jerrycan. They will suddenly show up. You'll be wondering if they've been planning it for months. They will suddenly show up because scarcity brings value. So when you through demand do that. But if you are the only one as individual household out of 10 household, you are buying. But the question is, can you really control who is taking which decision in any household? The answer is no. So in giving such advice, we have to be modest. We have to be cautious rather in giving such advice, saying that going to buy in bulk. Again, if you buy in bulk, you have to be careful. I'm not saying it's a wrong thing, it's a right thing to do, but you have to be careful as to when you will need again. If it's not what you need now and you are buying, you may actually be keeping your money sitting down doing nothing, looking at what is more important or what could have even given you returns to fight inflation and give you at higher rates an inflation or at par with inflation or almost close to inflation. Money you don't need now, you need next year. You say, let me just buy something extra. Meanwhile, if you put that money in treasury bills, it might give you 18, 19%. It might not be up to inflation level. Or you buy FGM bond at 18%, or you buy some shares or some capital that you are sure, or you buy some debt, in the market that you are sure that can give you much return investment, guarantee up to 20, 22%. By the time you need it, you have not been, that money will not be directly affected by inflation. Why? Because you can take it out and the interest you can use, then you can still buy that thing. So we need to have economic wisdom to manage our finances. It's not what you see is not what you are saying, because the more you look, the less you see. You've seen people in this economy that say we did nothing wrong, but everything went under. In my small years of living on earth, I've seen fantastic organization crushed, including BlackBerry. What did BlackBerry do wrong? I don't know. What did Nokia do wrong? I don't know. These are great. It used to be Kodak those days, where we take photography, but because they did not see the hurricane that has no sound coming, they did not see the molten magma that is about to build a mountain and destroy and shatter the entire industry. They didn't see those. They kept doing things, usually hoping that things will come. So, but economists will teach you that it is not what you see that has been seen. It is not what you see that ought to be seen. You need to see all sides. You need not to operate in 2 or 3D dimension. You need to also operate in time, which makes it the 4th dimension. Then you can have an holistic view of what the economy is saying.
And then you spend wisely.
You spend wisely.
Because with what you've said, some persons might be confused now. So shouldn't we buy in bulk anymore?
No, I'm not saying don't buy in bulk anymore. I'm not saying that if you want to buy in bulk and everybody is buying in bulk,
That's
you might
when...
actually be inducing price to go up. If you should buy in bulk,
so you should study the market instead.
Study the market, get quality advice, study the market, and know where to buy in bulk and what not to buy in bulk. So that will be fine. Some parents take good decisions. Oh, my children, December, I need to buy Christmas clothes and all of that. Those for them. Let me buy now because price will go up. That's a wise decision. Why? Because at that time, everybody wants to buy. Like we said, when everybody is buying at the same time from a limited market, what happens to price? It goes up. That may be the wrong time to buy. This may be the right time to buy now. But if the market pressure is so much now, even the price can go up now, because the seller will say, it be like saying everybody they buy Christmas clothes now.
True.
Permit my local parlance here, or pidgin English. Now everybody they buy clothes. So everybody now, okay, so let's increase the price. And you see the increase in price at the end of the day. This is not induced by monetary policy. This is not induced by supply side. This actually is induced by demand pressure on limited markets.
Okay, but actually in this context now, it is more about inflation, with the price of inflation going up, people buying, if people can still even afford to buy in bulk.
Affordability is a question.
Exactly.
Yes. If they can, then what is basic? For me, look at what is basic. Well, for me, I had, what is it that if you don't buy, you will die? Buy that. What is it that if you don't buy, you will fall sick? You buy that food, drugs, most of the things you might need may be there. But do you want to pay for your 5 years house rent because you want to buy in bulk? If you are living in an apartment, would that be a good decision? No. But does that mean your landlord will not increase? So in an inflationary economy, you need to work better. I tell people 9 to 5 is not fine. What is nice is 5 to 9. That is, if you have one work, if you have many Nigerians that work abroad and the economic pressure, this increase the number of hours they work, they put in more hours. In Nigeria, we complain without putting in more hours. So if you put in more hours, or you do for more opportunities, and the opportunities are there, not that the opportunities are not there. If the opportunities are not there, some of us will not be in the country. So the opportunities are there. The question is, can you see with the eye of an economist?
And you need economic wisdom. I think I just got that from you. Okay. So, looking ahead, what's your outlook for the next 6 to 12 months, and what can households do to adopt? What's your outlook on inflation the next 6 to 12 months?
Well, for the next 6 to 12 months, President is projecting 15%. I doubt if that will be a reality. I already said that on national media, because as of the time he made that statement, we had not rebased. Even if this new number is showing 15%, be sure that what it is in recent is 25%. So in the next 6 to 12 months, we might see some level, we might see inflation going around 10 to 15, 17% of the rebased number. of the
Okay.
rebase number, not of the old number. So of the rebase number, you might be saying that, then you might not really know the true number of inflation. It's difficult until we surpass next year April when we rebased. So it will now be rebase figure on the rebase figure, because I don't know how people are comparing inflation. It's difficult for me to respond to journalists if inflation is better or worse, because we are using different parameter to compare new parameter. It's like comparing apple and orange or apple and mango. It's not the same thing. You have changed the parameter, you have changed the DNA of the inflation numbers. So you cannot compare them. It doesn't really make economic sense. But you wait till rebase year versus the same rebase year. Then when you compare, you have a better outlook. And that is why I have advised that Monetary Policy Committee should wait until those cycle is fully fulfilled. Then they can now see if the number haven't fulfilled it, if the number is improving or decreasing. But to take the decision now, honestly, is to put the cart before the horse. So that will not be correct. So for me, based on the relative stability in FX, and I think if you also look at income, people are beginning to accept the reality now, and we say we are moving on with the economy. We might see relatively slower inflation, but I don't see that inflation slower beyond 15% or 12%. Yeah, I don't see it slower, and this is what our number also confirmed. Why? Because we still have relative insecurity in key parts, which is inducing food inflation. If the authority release otherwise figure, well, people's tummy, people's stomach, people's pots, we tell them otherwise, that things are still really very expensive in the market. What should people do? What should people do? A number of things people can do, honestly. The first thing people can do is to look at what are the priority of their consumption. Two, people should also compare their income versus their expenses. What is it that is important is what you should take. What else can you do to give you extra income? I'm not, when people hear this, the next thing that comes to their mind is, let me go and start a business. That's not what I'm referring to. Keep what you have securely, but what can you do on the part-time that will not take away what you have on the full-time? So you will might, if you want to have your own business in future, it's fine. But please, I've seen most developed countries, there are a large number of organized private sector where people work. But in Nigeria, we perhaps have the largest number of I don't want to call them entrepreneurs, but self-employed mostly, compared to other countries we want to be like, where they have structured business and you can see 100, 200, 5,000 people work in the organization. But in Nigeria, employment attention span is very low. I think I have a dream, I want to pursue it. Yeah, hold on, before you pursue the dream, learn structure where you are, learn system where you are, learn failure where you are, learn what not to do where you are, so that when you get to yours, the margin of error will be smaller, the things you will get wrongly will not be as much, and you will now know how to do it even better, and you can even surpass the influence of the organization you are coming from.
Okay, I have really, really, really enjoyed this session with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing such edifying insights. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
And I'm sure that listeners would have gotten one or two insights on consumptions, on inflation, and especially economic wisdom.
I hope so.
Thank you very much,
Thank
sir.
you so much.
A huge thank you to Paul for breaking it down for us. Whether or not bulk buying works for you solely depends on your budget, storage capacity, and the kind of goods you buy. Inflation is real, and we hope it comes down soon so that Nigerians can breathe. Let's take a quick look on some inflation realities in Nigeria. So, what's your take? Is bulk buying still saving you money, or is it draining your pocket? Do you think the inflation rates will be more positive in time to come? The numbers tell one side of the story, but your experience tells the other. Join the conversation on social media at Signature TV with the hashtag Counting the Numbers. Until next time, I'm Home Cinema Natus, and this has been Counting the Numbers.